Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So as you see by the title, I've officially spent over $1 million on Toyotas over the last few years. And as ugly as it is to say and really almost confess to that stat in this video, I figured it might be interesting for some of you to hear that. And I figured I'd walk through all the Toyotas that I purchased and give you kind of rough estimates of how much I paid for each of them, which brought me well over, just over I should say, $1 million total. Granted, although I'm saying, hey, I spent over $1 million on Toyotas, I've also gotten the vast majority of my money back over the years, right? So, I mean, that is just truly a testament of the amazing resale value that Toyota yields. So, if I were to have spent over $1 million on Ford or GM products over the last several years, I probably would have been out $500,000. Whereas I can comfortably say I've probably gotten back 950 plus of that $1 million that I've spent. So, testimony to the great resale value. So, for those of you who are interested, I'm going to walk you through and give you the price tags of each of my Toyotas that I've purchased. So the beginning started with that 2017 Toyota Tacoma 280 Pro in Super White. For the few OGs out there of my channel, you probably remember this Tacoma, the Super White one. I paid right around $45,000 for it back in 2017, and I absolutely loved it. That's what really started my passion for Toyota. I love the simplicity of this truck, and it's just fun to drive and easy to drive around town, and which is why I've gravitated back and forth, between the Tacoma here, amongst the other Toyotas, of course. I next purchased a 2019 4Runner 280 Pro, again in Super White. This time right around $49,000. Excuse me. So the Tacoma 45, this 4Runner, the 2019 was $49,000. In 2020, I purchased a Army Green 4Runner 280 Pro. I paid $51,000 for that. And again, I'm just giving you the price tags. Yeah, I lived in various states and various locations, so the sales tax and registration of all, it all varied state to state to some degree, okay? So this is over $1 million is what I spent. But I'm kind of giving you the sales figure itself. So in 2020, I also purchased a matching Army Green Tundra 280 Pro. A lot of you remember that truck, of course, that I spent right around $55,000 for. I then made the controversial decision, and controversial to me too, because I wasn't totally sold on them at the time, but I made the controversial decision to trade in that Tundra, my Army Green Tundra 280 Pro, for my first 2020 Toyota Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, that midnight black metallic one, if you guys remember. So I loved it, and that's truly where my love for the 200 series began. That's where it all started for me, and I was definitely hooked. So I spent $80,000 on that Land Cruiser back in 2020. So if you remember, I was able to get, I think, right around $9,000, $8,000 below MSRP at that time, which, even though it was a really good deal then, it wasn't totally unheard of to get several $1,000s off of MSRP of your Land Cruiser, Heritage Edition or not. That was before Toyota had made the announcement that they were ending production of the Land Cruiser for the US. So that whole nostalgia craze hadn't really sunk in yet for a lot of people, so it was easier to get a good deal. And as you'll hear here in a few seconds, a few minutes, that price tag started shooting upward as I purchased a couple since then. But that one, $80,000. I then purchased a 2021 4Runner 280 Pro, another one, a 21 this time, for $54,000, Super White. I then purchased that used 2017 Toyota Tacoma 280 Pro in cement gray. You guys remember that? That was that sweet one that had the Icon Stage 9 lift kit, the upgraded TRD wheels from the 4Runner 280 Pro, the larger Toyo MT tires, mountain tires, or mud terrain tires, excuse me. That was just an awesome Tacoma, and I loved that thing. It was a ton of fun driving that thing around. And then, so that Tacoma was $47,000. I then purchased that 2021 Lunar Rock Tundra 280 Pro for $54,000. I believe that was the one that I flew out to North Dakota to pick up, if you guys recall. So $54,000 for that. I then purchased arguably the best deal that I've ever gotten, was that 2019 Toyota Tacoma 280 Pro in Voodoo Blue. I spent $41,000 for that, which was awesome. That was the one that had a fuel pump recall hold on it, so it was held for a few months. But because of that, I was able to get a really good deal as they put a deposit on it and just waited for that recall to get taken care of, and I got it. So $41,000 for that. I then purchased a matching 4Runner 280 Pro in Voodoo Blue for $45,000, which that is the one that I do regret getting rid of. As you guys know, I recently considered getting that again. It was between that, this Tacoma here, as well as that 2015 Super White Tacoma 2D Pro. So I ended up getting this, of course, but I kind of regret letting go of the Voodoo Blue. I then purchased a 2021 Lunar Rock 4Runner 2D Pro for $54,000. So we had matching Lunar Rock, Tundra, and 4Runner for a minute there. I then purchased my second. I feel ugly even saying this out loud. It's the first time I'm actually reading my list out loud, for the record. I purchased my second Lunar Rock Tundra 2D Pro for $55,000. After that, I came back to my senses and bought another Land Cruiser Heritage Edition. This particular color is the one I had. I spent $85,000 on that one. I ended up getting rid of it, and I kicked myself, and then I found myself back to it, right? Then, this time, for an additional $10,000. So I spent $95,000 for it the second time around. I then had the 2022 4Runner 2D Pro in Lime Rush. I spent $56,000 for that. And then that brought me to this Tacoma 2D Pro, the Electric Lime Metallic, which I spent $53,000 for. The few that I did not include in there, I put them here at the end of my list, are my FJ Cruisers. So I had 3 of them. I had a 2013 FJ Cruiser Trail Teams in cement gray. Spent $28,000 for that one, my first one, because it had 60-something thousand miles on it. I also purchased I had them at the same time, if you guys recall, the other 2013 FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Ultimate Edition, Trail Teams Edition, and that one had 22,000 miles on it, so I spent $38,000 on that one. I then had my third 2014 FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Ultimate Edition. That was the Heritage Blue one, and I paid $51,000 for that. So altogether, if you add it all up, and hopefully I included the price tags as I went through all of them there, if you followed me at all, it was just over $1 million. So $1,036,000 is how much I spent roughly. Okay, so give or take a little bit perhaps, but comfortably over $1 million on Toyotas. And some of you are like, can't even fathom that idea. And honestly, I understand, because it really is crazy. Even saying it out loud, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of repeat vehicles in here. That is just wild. It's insane. So what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing multiple times, hoping for a different outcome or expecting a different outcome, right? So I think by definition, it is insane. But I love it. This is my passion, guys. Yeah, I appreciate a lot of you support the passion. I mean, some of you don't, of course, and I understand why. Because a lot of people, especially who buy Toyotas, they buy them to be the million-mile vehicle, not to be the million-dollar vehicles, right? So that's just it. I mean, I love these vehicles. I love Toyota at large. I've tried, you guys know, I've branched out. I've tried others. I've tried Raptors a few times. I love them. They're fun. They're exciting. But so there's just something about Toyota that really keeps bringing me back to it. You know, a lot of it just revolves around, you know, the simplicity of it. It's not screaming in your face. You know, it's not this huge, giant, jacked up truck that's, you know, says they have a complex. You know, this is a very subtle, although the color is bright, I get it, but, you know, a subtle vehicle that is very simplistic at its core. And reliability, I'm never concerned that it's not going to run or start up for me. I'm never worried about that. Even the tech, I'm always confident that the tech is going to remain fully functional and operational. So between that, the reliability, the peace of mind of owning these Toyotas always brings me back. And really, it's just, the brand resonates with me, and I have a passion for it. So I know some of you can relate to that and understand. For those of you who really aren't Toyota folks or Toyota people, I can see why this is maybe extra crazy. But there you have it, guys. I just wanted to walk you through that. See what you thought of it, of course. But yeah, it's official. I've invested over $1 million into Toyotas over the last few years. So let me know what your thoughts are. As always, I appreciate you watching. Until next time.